This is the Music Therapy Chronicles podcast interview with AJ, Denne, and Erica Fernandez.
It happened organically. It was just like she posted it, and then the next morning she's like, "We have like 150,000 views." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it was like literally the next morning.
And then I was like, "Well, you have to post another video."
You're listening to the Music Therapy Chronicles, a podcast about music therapy from a variety of perspectives. Our ambition is to inspire and connect listeners through meaningful conversations, just like the music therapy conference you can listen to anywhere. My name is Trisha Coyote. I'm your weekly host and a board-certified music therapist from the New England region. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode, and consider leaving us a rating and review. We really appreciate them. You can find more podcast episodes, links to our pod courses, the self-care community, links to all of our social media, and get on our monthly newsletter, all at musictherapychronicles.com. Thank you so much for choosing to listen to this show today, and you can always reach me by sending an email to hello@musictherapychronicles.com. Hello, and welcome back to the Music Therapy Chronicles. I hope you are doing well today, and thank you for taking the time to be with me and to be with my guests, AJ and Erica, today while we talk about social media and music therapy and advocacy, specifically related to their TikTok page at the one with .music.therapy, which is a Friends reference. In case you didn't know that. So today we talk about their social media pages, the type of content they make, why they make it, implications of having a social media page about music therapy, and yeah, we dive into all sorts of stuff about what they're doing, why they're doing it, and things that we all need to be aware of in this age of social media, and asking the questions we need to ask before the problems start arising from not asking those questions, if that makes sense. But yeah, we dive into that more today. Like I mentioned in this episode, I do not have a TikTok. I am semi-familiar with the platform, and I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I always say, hey, follow Music Therapy Chronicles online. Instagram is where I am the most present, but even that I fluctuate with a lot because, like I said, love-hate relationship. Some days I'm feeling really good about sharing and motivated to create content, and other days I feel like I am just adding to the noise and chaos, and like it's not worth my energy. So that being said, it's great to hear and see people who are getting a lot out of creating social media content and the impact they are making. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. I hope you learn from it. I know that I definitely learned a lot, and look forward to seeing what these two continue to produce, and also the research and what's the word I'm looking for? Presentations, and like just the conversations that they start around this media outlet and the implications of using social media as a music therapist and as an advocacy tool. So let's get into this conversation with AJ and Erica. But wait, actually, real quick. In between the time of this recording and me doing this intro and today, or whenever you're listening to this, something very exciting has happened, and I am going to share it with you. I've been working really hard behind the scenes on a lot of things that will be coming out over the next few weeks. But the first is that our best-selling pod course, Personal Development is Professional Development, is being re-released in a second edition. So this is our pod course. You can get CMTEs for listening to the show. It's in the form of a pod course. This is our best-selling pod course by far, and I was really excited to revamp it, redo it, add some awesome newer content, and there will be a live office hour in July. So if you take the course, you'll have plenty of time to get through all of the amazing content before the office hour in July. So this pod course is now pre-approved for 8 CMTE credits. It's available on sale through June 21st. You can find it at mtpodcastcollective.com. And of course, the link will be in the show notes. I'm so excited to reshare this pod course with you all, having redone it, revamped it, improved it in as many ways as possible. There is a 40-page workbook full of the podcast summaries and notes, action planning, journaling, goal setting, the old office hour, and of course the live office hour that will be in July. I really hope to see you there, and I hope you enjoy this course as much as the first edition. So yeah, you can find that at the link in the show notes or go to mtpodcastcollective.com. All right, let's get into this episode for real. All right, AJ and Erica, welcome to the Music Therapy Chronicles.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
How are you both doing today?
pretty good.
Good. Having a good Sunday.
Good. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to spend with me and to talk with the listeners. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to start us off, can you tell the listeners about yourselves?
Well, my name is Erica. I'm a board certified music therapist, and I work in private practice. And I graduated from FSU in 2019 with a master's in music therapy.
My name is AJ. I work at a neuro rehabilitation hospital / hospital system. And I also graduated with my master's from FSU in 2019.
I'm assuming that's how you both met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what a time to graduate, 2019. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, we slipped up. We both got our jobs in like the very beginning of January
It was
of like
actually,
2020.
we graduated December 2019.
Yeah. And then we got our jobs like January 2020.
Oh my gosh, my heart goes out to you. Well, thank you for pioneering the way. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that telehealth experience was quite the interesting one.
We started our full-time jobs like fresh out of school, and it was 3 months, and then we had the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, we both were equivalency students. So we had we went through the FSU program. Like our undergrads were not in music therapy. So we were really, really truly fresh out of school during the pandemic.
Yeah. Oh wow, that must have been interesting. What were your undergrads in? Was it related or?
I went to the University of Pittsburgh and I graduated with a BS in psychology, a BA in music, and a certificate in sign language. So kind of.
Wow.
I went to FAU, and I started off as a music education major. I was a music education major for 3 years, and then I switched to a bachelor's of arts in music. And
Cool.
Yeah, that's how I came in music therapy.
Yeah.
And we both went to FSU.
Yeah. But that's awesome that you both came with backgrounds that were outside the field, but very applicable to what you're doing. For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you guys want to dive into kind of the work you do? You're in very different settings, or do you want to start by talking about your TikTok page?
We could do our settings.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It kind of goes with the about us.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I work in private practice, so I mainly see a lot of kids with special needs, mainly with autism, Down syndrome, or ADHD, and then I also see a lot of patients in the hematology and oncology units in the hospital system.
Very diverse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the challenges of working through a private practice, right? You have to put on a different hat every hour, it feels like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Totally.
I also like to joke and say that I'm a private practice music therapist working in a hospital system. So because where I work is an entire system of care, we have everything from inpatient all the way out into community programming as well. So I'm the system music therapist. So I do work at the inpatient setting. Where I work, we practice neurologic music therapy and we use it throughout our whole system. So I see we have an aphasia center, we have the inpatient hospital, which is stroke, spinal cord injury, brain injury. I see a Parkinson's choir. I work with our pediatric recreation department, and I'm in one of our outpatient clinics, and I'm also in like ABA facilities around town as well. So I also work with kids who are on the spectrum. And then I also do late stage dementia. We also have assisted living, skilled nursing, and dementia facility as well. So I kind of do everything, but within an enclosed hospital system.
Yeah. Oh wow, really diverse as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any like population that we don't really see between the both of us.
I feel like it's really just like, I mean, you do a little bit of mental health, but we're not doing like inpatient
Yeah,
mental health like your typical like bipolar depression, like
schizophrenia. Like we don't
schizophrenia.
see
Yeah.
that.
I feel like that's really the only
We
population that we don't
mainly
work with.
see like anxiety and like coping
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah,
But yeah, we work with very diverse populations.
for sure. Yeah, that can be both very rewarding and very challenging, depending on if that shift like lights you up and helps you feel re-energized and new and fresh, or if it makes you feel like you're never making from me working in lots of different settings, I eventually got to the point where I was like, I am making too many different types of resources and session plans, and like it's very overwhelming. I didn't feel like I could reuse anything.
yeah. I
Yeah.
actually like the diversity. I think if I were doing the same thing over and over again, I would lose my mind.
Mm,
I think that's what's
Yeah, me too.
great about our
Me
job.
too. I mean, there's definitely like populations that I prefer over other ones that I work with, but I never feel like anything is really the same except
Yeah.
for maybe the late stage dementia. But, you know, because the research says that we have to.
yes.
I feel like that's really the only population where I feel like I'm doing the same things, but just in
Mm,
slightly different ways. But other
Yeah.
than that, I feel like we both pretty much enjoy kind of doing the back and forth and brain flipping and being
It's
challenged.
yeah, it's kind of nice though because we do see a lot of the same kind of population, so we kind of piggyback ideas from each other.
totally.
Yeah, which is kind of how the TikTok came to be,
Yeah.
honestly.
So, because like it's funny because when AG did her internship, she was in strictly inpatient NMT, like only NMT, and then when she got this job, it was like
I had to do everything.
it was the whole private practice like sprinkled in, and then I had done an internship in private practice, so I kind of guided her into
Yeah,
that.
resource sharing was
Yeah.
extremely real.
Yeah,
So
totally.
so yeah, that's I was developing one of my session plans for the day after, and Erica for some reason decided to record it. It was like a cool like little bell activity.
Oh, you're saying the day after. It was the day after like Super Bowl, and it was funny because the weekend was had done the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
that's where I got the idea from, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so he played Blinding Lights, and then that was something that she like came up with as an activity for one of her like older um students. And I was eating dinner, and she was just practicing, and I was like, oh, I'll just record it. And then I knew she had a TikTok. I didn't have a TikTok.
I never posted on it. Like I just had an account and I would
You
like
know, you
scroll
would post every now
a
and
little
then.
bit.
But like she had a TikTok, and then I was like, oh, just post it on your TikTok, and then it just kind of blew up.
Wow. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok, so I'm probably going to sound kind of old, but I think I understand the gist of it, right? It's short form videos. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like a free for all. The algorithm figures out what you're into, but it's still like chaos.
Yeah, it's still chaos.
Yes.
That's true.
If you're familiar with Vine, it's like the newer version of
All right.
Vine.
She's not familiar with Vine. It's okay.
Like,
It's like
also,
Instagram, but videos.
yeah,
I guess that's
short clip videos.
I get the gist.
Yeah.
I just don't want to say something that doesn't make sense. I'm warning everybody that I'll probably say something that doesn't make sense because I don't know. But yeah, okay, so that video, like, on its own, like, sparked everything for you, like,
yeah,
it happened organically. It was just like she posted it, and then the next morning she's like, we have like 150,000 views. I was like, what?
Yeah, it was like literally the next morning.
And then I was like, well, you have to post another video. And I was like, I don't want to be in any of the videos. Like, this is all
this is the best part. I frequently remind Erica of this. It was her idea to post it. So anytime she's like, I'm tired, or like, oh, like, do we have to do this video? And I'm like, what's the reason we're here, Erica? Whose fault is this? And she was like, I know it's my fault, but I'm still gonna be tired. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So it is partially my fault, but I like the beginnings of everything. I was like, I'll just be the stage manager. You can go and be.
Yeah, she wanted me to like be on the screen. And how did that work out for you?
It didn't last very long.
It didn't last very long. Because we needed two hands. If you have like seen any of our videos, you see that it requires most of the time two people to make the video, even though two people are not always on screen. So
that makes sense. Yeah. Especially because now, like, the quality of content people put out is different. There's still plenty of people who just do very basic things that probably I could figure out. But the stuff that seems to do well, like, it does take kind of like some person filming and some person on screen, and you have to be able to have that team. So it's awesome that the two of you are doing this together. Yeah, so it's not like when one of you's tired, maybe the other person can kind of cut the burden a little bit.
Yeah, it's a team effort for sure. We have it. I don't want to say we haven't done it in science, but we have it's kind of systematic. We're like, we'll film the video on my phone, and then like she goes and like edits some of it, but then I edit it on TikTok, and she's fully responsible for the Instagram because I just cannot get the hang of stories to save my life. So she keeps that alive. So yeah, that's kind of how we split it. It is a lot of work, honestly, like on top of our full-time jobs, but we like it.
Yeah.
So before we get into kind of like your inspiration and your goals behind it, let's name your handle, right? So that people listening have that. Yeah. I'll link it.
It's at the one with .music.therapy. Inspired.
Is that one like the number or one like the word?
The word. So it's like THEONEWITH period music period therapy. It's like if you've ever
is that like Friends? Is that a Friends reference?
Yes, okay. It's a Friends reference. We love Friends. So we were trying to come up with a name, and like we sat there and we like played around with it because it only gives you like so many characters. Like because I wanted like a dot between every one of them, but it wouldn't let me. So I just like separated the music therapy part so that it like kind of stood out a little bit.
Yeah.
But
is that the same on Instagram too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That'll be easy. I will link those, obviously.
And it's also our email.
Oh, and email. Perfect.
Yeah, it's just a Gmail. So it's just the one with .music.therapy@gmail.com.
Perfect. Okay. So you posted a video, it did really well. You decided to do another. Was it like we decided to do another just to see how far it could go? Like we're just doing it for fun? Is this like advocacy? Is it all the things?
Well, so it was so we posted the video, and then the next couple videos after that were answering questions that were stemmed from the original video.
Interesting.
And then it kind of, we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do with it.
We were like, maybe we could explain to people in 60 seconds or less what music therapy is, which we all know. If you know music therapists or are music therapists, that can be difficult sometimes. And then I'm trying to remember, we didn't post the cup videos for like a while. We did we kind of just did a few like random videos. Like some were just us talking. Some of them were like they have like trending music, like some of them we put trending music under, and
we didn't do any of that until like, because we just did answering questions, and then we showed
I'm about to go look on our TikTok right now.
activity of like how we would adapt an activity.
Yeah.
It was a boom whacker activity.
That's what it was. It was boom. So we used the same song. So we did the blinding lights song with the bells, and then we did it with boom whacker. So like we did it because what I was doing was actually pretty advanced. Like my group that I had was an older group and they were super advanced. So it was like a really hard executive functioning task. But we kind of wanted to show people like, yeah, we don't like, we're music therapists and we don't just like play around with like bells all day long. So yeah, it was the boom whacker, and then we showed off like a kid's song, and then we went back to the boom whackers, and like we just kind of played around with that until we did our first stick video.
Until another blinding lights video blew up.
Yeah, so we had 2 of the blinding lights videos blow up.
Yeah, that was when we had like introduced the cup/sticks.
Yeah, so the cups, I don't know if you've actually seen any of our videos before this, but we do like one where it's like rotating cups. So like every cup signifies
they're different colors. Each color is associated with like a rhythm. So
it's just a note value, but since we're music therapists and we don't teach music, we renamed it with a food. So like a quarter note is just pie, and the next one would be popcorn, which is what we know as an 8th note, but when we do it with our kids, they don't know that that's an 8th note. They just know they need to tap their sticks together 2 times when it's a dark green cup. So it was just kind of an adaptive way of utilizing rhythms to create an executive functioning task.
Yeah, I'm thinking, so getting music therapy resources and ideas, there's lots of them out there, right? But they're usually like, you got to go to a blog post, or you got to read a thing, or like maybe it's a YouTube video, but they're long form. So it's really cool that someone in like 5 minutes could scroll through your content and get like 5 different ideas, or more than that, depending.
We had I've had people, and I don't know about you, I probably just told you all the times, but I've had people be like, my intern did this today. One of Danielle's friends reached out and was like, my intern did this today.
Oh wow, really?
Like, was this from your TikTok channel? I was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we definitely have, and people will comment and say like, oh, I'm a music therapy intern, like I just found your page, or like I'm a student and like I love your page. And so yeah, it's kind of twofold. I would say our TikTok is twofold, right? It is a way to get resources out to music therapists if they so choose to use it and adapt it, but it's also a way for advocating and educating the general public, because that's who's on TikTok, about music therapy and what it is, and like in interactive ways, right? So like we're kind of balancing, you know, how to show people what we do while also teaching them like what is music therapy and why we are doing that activity. So if you watch our videos, it's not only an interactive stick video where like you yourself can tap along or duet it, but the words on the screen are actually showing you why we're doing that.
Yeah, like what the goals behind the actual activity is and stuff. And it's always funny. Like we don't get any negative comments really. But the same comment I would always get is,
we do. You're holding the claves hard. So like we don't cup them in our hand like you're quote unquote supposed to.
Yeah, but we always like AJ's the one who comments back, but it's like it's just so funny because we're music therapists. That's not the goal. Like we're not music educators. That's honestly the beauty of like why it's funny, because like we're here saying like that's not the goal, guys. The other stuff is the goal.
Yeah, I think we've made a few videos addressing the claves. Yeah,
well,
people are like, you're gonna break them.
You're reaching people who come with a different background, a different skill set if they're commenting that, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's also great, you touched on this earlier, that it's a place for people to ask questions or to ask for more, or like, you know, the next adaptation or the next extension you would do. That's really cool.
Yeah, we try to answer as many like questions, especially if it's like something that catches our eye.
Yeah, it's mostly me going through the comments, and let's just say if you leave a sassy comment, you'll probably get a sassy response in return.
Love it.
We really don't get too many like trolls or like haters or anything, but it'll just be people like thinking they know what they're talking about when they like did. I'm like, did you even watch the video? If you watch the video, you probably wouldn't be like making this comment right now because it actually said it in the video. But
So
for
true.
the most part, it's like very positive. People are just genuinely like curious, like, oh, like like, oh, like this would be too hard for me, or like people, my favorite one is like, my ADHD could never. That's like the like the main comment that we get for some reason. I don't know if it's like a trend that the kids say. I don't know.
I'll have to ask my kids. Wow. So one of the other cool things about the fact that the outlet you guys have chosen is social media. This is a few years ago, but there was an intern that I was talking to that for their like big internship project, they started an Instagram page that was geared specifically towards music therapy advocacy. And the point was so that me as a music therapist could reshare her content like on my personal page, and therefore like my family would see it and my friends would see it, and then they would get a better picture of what the heck it is I do and get like accurate information instead of every year at Christmas. I literally had one of my cousins over Easter. He was like, so I know a couple years ago you explained to me what you do, but you're probably doing something else now. What are you doing? And I was like, nope, literally doing the same
Still the
thing.
same thing.
So like having your content to both like learn myself, but like you said, to reshare, to just educate the people around me so that when they say, hey, my daughter, cousin, niece, whatever is a music therapist, and I kind of have an idea of what it is she does because I saw this TikTok she posted about using the boom whack, whatever it is. That's an awesome resource for us as music therapists to use, and an accessible advocacy tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the main thing. And we're hoping to do a presentation at the national conference, specifically about like using short form content, how to appropriately use short form content. Like if you look on our page, it actually says in our bio that we are board certified music therapists, because there's a lot of social media out there that either yeah, it's like, we've all seen the videos about like, oh, a nurse is playing guitar, like doing music therapy, and we're like, we all cringe. But I think just by like, just kind of teaching other music therapists how to let people know that they are board certified and that they are a music therapist, and they have goals and objectives and all of these things. Yeah, we just want to teach other music therapists how to use short form content, because it's difficult. You only have 60 seconds. Like in our audiences personally, like we try not to make our videos too long, because we know that our audience, like it shows you your average watch time, so we try to keep it around that too, and that's just kind of like a strategy that we use.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when I was in grad school, my thesis was actually on like music therapy and like finding music therapy on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so to find out that a lot of YouTube videos that I found during my like thesis, not a lot of them were actually music therapy. And a lot of the videos that was music therapy, they didn't say that they were board certified. And we always try to make sure, like when we did a news article, like interview, we made sure to tell the interviewer that we are board certified. You have to have a degree for this. And that's really important in advocating that we are like we have training in this, and that's the biggest thing that we're trying to advocate on our TikTok account.
Yeah, pretty much that we are qualified to be telling you what this profession is. And I feel like some music therapists just miss that step, right? It's just like kind of assumed like, yeah, of course I'm a music therapist, why would I be posting music therapy content? Well, because there are people who are not music therapists that are also posting music therapy content. I use that very loosely, but yeah, I feel like that's kind of our main reason on the at least from the music therapy side, like what we're trying to do with the channel for just our own profession and spreading awareness about what we do.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I'm thinking about Music Therapy Chronicles and the Instagram and Facebook pages. And I'm pretty sure my name is there with the credential MTBC, but anyone who doesn't know what that is doesn't know what that is. So now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I need to revamp that and make sure it's very clear.
It is
Yeah.
hard. It is really hard because I think when you write it out board certified, people take you more like seriously. I think that's
Right, because the assumption is, oh, if she's board certified, like that's like you had to do something extra to like get that.
Yeah. And of course, the music therapist finding you and your content would be able to pick that up, but anyone else finding it,
Right.
Yeah, interesting. So I hope that you get to do that presentation because I think it'll be really helpful for people like me who don't always think of that. Like it's at the end of my email, but my brain doesn't think, oh, it needs to be on social media. I had another thought that has escaped me. Oh, the other thought was the further I get from having taken the board exam, the less I think to say that specifically, unless there is an instance where it really comes up where I like need to set that boundary or like make that claim. I don't know what it is, but that I'm glad you made that point because it has me thinking.
It's really hard because like we're fresh out of school pretty much, and so like for us, we're that new generation, I guess.
New generation youth.
New generation.
2 years out of school, I
2
guess.
years out of
Yeah.
school, and so I think for us it was just we hear all the stories about like just being in the profession, and you hear, oh, the music lady's here. Oh, thank you for entertaining us, and all of that. And so I think for us, we're very vocal about early stages. Very vocal.
We made a TikTok video about it.
A lot more vocal about being like, no, I'm not an entertainer, and I'm a lot more like gentle and I don't know the words.
Because you work with kids.
I
mean, I do too, but
she works with kids too, but I think she just has more or less the personality to be like correct people, and I am very passive in that like aspect of I'm a music lady, but actually I'm not.
yeah, I will never tolerate being called that. I just like she said, I think it's different, right? So like I said, in my setting, all of the music therapists there do neurologic music therapy, and that includes doing research too. Like I'm in the middle of doing a research study too. So like it's a little bit in our hospital system. We are lucky that we are extremely supported, and our therapists, like PT, OT, ST, like they know what music therapy is. They rely on us. The study that I'm doing right now is with a physical therapist. So it's very collaborative. So it's taken a little bit more seriously in our hospital to the point where like we have doctors who know what music therapy is and can explain it to their patients and their patients' family members. And we have a handout that we give out. So I think that's why I'm a little bit more forward about it, because I'm more forward about it because I was put into that environment, and like my supervisor was like, you need like 5 different types of elevator speeches, like one for a doctor, one for a family member, one for your patient, one for a therapist, one for some random person you meet on the street. So
I think in private practice it's a little different because most of the time in private practice they reach out to you. A lot of the people that I do see are like private pay, and they are reaching out and paying with their own money, and so they know what it is. So it's for the most part on that end, they respect what I do and see the value in what I do. It's more
that's a good point.
It's like when you're paying out of your own pocket, it's a lot more you're getting your money's worth kind of thing, and then when you're not, it's like easy to kind of
when you're in the hospital and I show up to your room and I'm like, you have music therapy, your occupational therapist said that you had to be here.
It's a lot harder, but I think in certain settings I think it definitely can. You see a lady with a guitar and you're just like, oh, it's fun time.
Yes. It's also different
when
Yeah, it is fun.
It's not wrong.
When we're working, like it's funny because I have a
Yes.
teacher who's like, you're about to have fun, but you're about to be put to work. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm here to do.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put you to work.
we're all about like functional outcomes in our hospital. I mean, most hospitals are about functional outcomes, but we're always like, we put the fun in functional. That's typically what we say to people. Feel free to steal it, everybody.
It's also different when you have a team of people who are also advocating for you and with you versus I am usually my own island walking into locations where like, some days I'm like, okay, today I'm just the music lady. That's fine. Like whatever.
Yeah.
But
you have a village behind you, and it's a lot harder when you are in like a private practice setting.
No, it's true. And then it's, when new staff comes on, especially in the aging services department, they're a little less. I literally had someone last week, she was new and I had only seen her a few times, and she was like, what do you guys do like anyways? Like she was like just genuinely curious. I wasn't mad at her, but it gave me the opportunity to explain to her why I was here, like what my intern was doing, like why my intern was running the session and I wasn't, because she's kind of towards the end of her internship. So yeah.
I do like the genuine people who are like curious, because I had a lady at a patient's mom at the hospital and was just like, so what do you do exactly? And I was like kind of explained to her, and she was like, oh my gosh, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes. And I even had like some of my higher level students, like they were like, why is it called music therapy? And I was like, okay, let's like break that down for a second. What does therapy mean to you? And they're like, to help somebody. I'm like, okay, do you think what I'm doing in here is helping you guys in your classroom? Yeah. I'm like, okay, so what are we learning in here? We're learning how to follow directions. We're learning how to do this and that. I'm like, so do you think that's like, it was just like great, like on the other side of them.
What a happy, wholesome
story.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I get it. Like these kids understand what I do, and like some physicians still don't understand.
Totally.
Yeah. So, you can tell. Yeah, every music therapist can tell you. You can tell if someone is genuinely curious about what you do, or if they just want to make a comment while you're walking by.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a button on my guitar for a long time that said music therapy, ask me. And I had a student once say, he asked me, he's like, music therapy? And I was so confused. She's like, your button. And of course, these kids, like I go into their classroom, like they didn't necessarily sign up for music therapy, but here I am every week. And so we had the same conversation. What do you think music therapy is? I come and work with you every week. It was a great conversation. But what you were saying before about when someone is genuinely curious, and I'm thinking now, instead of like giving them your business card, you can give them your TikTok handle. Yeah,
we don't. Okay, here's the crazy part about our TikTok. More people that I work with have found it, because she kind of goes,
I hop around a lot.
Yeah, she hops around a lot, but like I see the same people genuinely on a daily basis, but we're not very like super forward about it. Like
I'm very shy about it. AJ's like, people actually recognize AJ a lot more than they do me. Because she's in like a big hospital system, and I have had like students like recognize me from our TikTok, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It's also very helpful that it was during a pandemic, and the nurse, it was funny, this nurse that I was working with, she saw our big music therapy cart, and I was working at the hospital that day, and she was like, oh my gosh, like music therapy, like coming in. She like works on the pediatric unit, so she's like all fun and upbeat, and she's like, yeah, like I watch this music therapy page with my daughter, and like they do all these cool things with like cups, and like, I have like a mask on, I have a face shield on, like I'm in my scrubs, like, you can see my eyeballs, like that's it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, like, like that's really cool. And she said, oh, like, do you follow them? Like, like, and so like I very like quickly in the corner like took down my mask, and I was like, yeah, I think you follow us. And she was like, oh my god, like me and my daughter watch your videos, and we like try to do the little stick things with you. And she was like, it was adorable. Yeah. And she says hi to me. Yeah, I guess so. I'm famous. And then
in public, some guy recognized her.
I don't want to talk about that experience. I don't want to talk about that. That did happen. I was in the freezer aisle minding my own business. And he said his girlfriend watched our videos and would always sit there and try to like also do the stick things until she got it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like weird in the moment, but it's cool to see like how those things reach or who they reach, I guess.
Yeah. And then when our news article came out, my manager very kindly, without consulting me, it was fine, but without consulting me, blasted the news because it was like our local news, like where we
Mm.
live. So generously blasted it to basically the entire system. So a lot of people found out that way.
Yeah.
I work with.
It's different when you're like putting stuff out into the ethers and you don't necessarily know where it's going versus knowing exactly who it's going to. Like something about that is different. You're like, strangers are okay. People I know are not okay.
Yeah, it is always really weird.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, cause
True.
like the different facilities I go to, like I was always very low key, never mentioned anything, and then when another video blew up, like it came up on my For You page.
You're like, if you know me in real life, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird because it's like our job.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, I'm just like, all of the videos that you see on our TikTok, the reason that we have them is because we actually use them. Because someone did ask me one time, they're like, oh, like, do you actually use those videos? I said, what, you think I go home and do extra work to make videos? Like, no, I use all of the things that I have previously used.
It's funny because we adapt like the cup videos, like with the sticks and stuff, so many different ways in our sessions. It just,
yeah, and what you see on TikTok,
it's a very advanced.
Yeah, so I hate to break this to people because they think that we're perfect. That's my favorite comment. People think that we do this like in a one take situation. They're like, I could never do this. I'm like, don't worry, me either. It took me like 30 tries. But the biggest thing is that like this is the issue with short form content is what you see in 1 minute. Really, when I did that in real life, it took like 10 sessions for them to even get anywhere near that point, right? But nobody wants to see like the boring part where I sit you down with a metronome and I tell you we're just gonna do pi, 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 pi like a million times over. Like nobody wants to watch that. That's not entertaining. That's not like interesting to look at. Yeah, that's not engaging to look at. So people kind of see the end result of like ideally when they meet their goals what it's supposed to look like. So that's kind of like one of the qualms I have with short form content is like it's really hard to show the process in which we use to get our patients and our clients to the point to what you see in the video.
Yeah. So that's like an argument against social media in general, right? Is that it's a highlight reel, like that's not new information. But I love that you're touching on this because it's important, one, for people to know when they're watching your stuff. But I also think like research can be a highlight reel, sharing our interventions with people can be a highlight reel because I'm not likely to share the ones with you that didn't work. And then you might try the ones that I've tried that don't work. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you for saying that. So that anyone who's trying out your things and it doesn't work on the first try isn't like, oh, this works for their people, but it doesn't work for my people, because that's not true.
No, it's not. I think between the two of us, we have adapted that intervention
like 4 different ways.
More than that, because we've done it with kids as young as like 5. You've done it with a group, and I've done it with assisted living people. Like I took a big, huge poster board and I put the same idea with the colored dots on the poster board so they could all see it. And we did it that way instead of with just switching cups. We just switched the poster board around. So yeah, I think we've adopted it for pretty much every age group at this point.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It's cool to have things like that too, because I think one, you can use something you're comfortable with in lots of different ways. And in our profession, we talk a lot about being age appropriate, but I also think it's important to acknowledge that doing the same thing in different ways is age appropriate. It's not like, hey, this works for this age group, so it cannot work for this other age group.
Oh yeah, we don't reinvent the wheel around here.
Yeah,
we do not do that. Sometimes we do. Yeah. I'm like, totally. I'll like look at my entire week and I'll be like, okay, like I want to do this activity. How many groups or individuals can I possibly do so that I can do less planning? Totally. That's pretty much what happens at the beginning of my week.
It's good strategy for your time. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Is there anything else either of you want to touch on before we go into the rapid fire?
think so.
I feel like we touched on a lot.
I really hope we get to do that presentation.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. No one else. There's I think there's like one other music therapist, and it's crazy because she's actually in mental health. I think I don't know her handle. Music, yeah, but isn't it like music therapy Kate or something?
Yeah.
I think
Is that
it's like music therapy Kate. I might have to look it up. She has I think 30,000 followers. I think she has about 30,000 followers, but she does like all mental health stuff, which is kind of cool because it's like the opposite of what we do. We're like little kids and older adults and like stroke, and she kind of has that side. So I think her following is slowly growing as well, which is awesome to see.
Yeah. It's good to know that there are different resources depending on what you need as a clinician.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. I will look for that too. See if I can find it.
Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. I might be able to look it up because we're friends with her on there. So it should come up.
It's always really awesome too. There's this one girl who follows us on TikTok, and she has like 10 million followers. And
oh yeah, Paige Zilba.
She does like a whole bunch of like voice acting and stuff, and she has friends that are music therapists. And when that news article came out, and we shared it on our TikTok, she was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like she used her platform to like
yeah, she like duetted one of our videos or something. Yeah. And like
That's so
she
cool.
has like a crazy amount, but she knows about the field, so she's like, oh my god, like this page is amazing.
Tell me that handle again. Oh, sorry.
It's at music. Yeah, it's Music Therapy Kate, CAIT, but it's all one word. There's no like dots or anything. She has 39,000 followers.
Yeah, go Kate. What was the other one you mentioned? Paige something?
Oh, Paige Zilba. She's not a music therapist. She just does like voice acting and things like that. I don't actually know her handle. I think it's just Paige Zilba. Yeah, PAIGEZILBA.
Cool.
Yeah, but she's awesome. Yeah, she's pretty good. There was recently a video on what was it? CBS. It was like something on America, Tonight on America. And it was like very wrongly saying what music therapy was, and she like she like stitched our video and like commented on it because it was like very falsely portraying music therapy. Which if we get to do our presentation, will be a highlight of it, so we can tell you what not to do.
Yeah, good. But sometimes that's important to know what not to do because like there's lots of music therapists putting out content potentially not realizing how it could be misused.
Right. Or if it's not fully explained, or if on their page it doesn't say that they're board certified music therapists, then people can kind of question it. And when they all put it out there and like of course like wanting to advocate people, but
and another thing in my thesis was like part of what I was looking for in the YouTube videos was, are they stating the goals? Because like a big part of what we do is it's goal based. So and like unfortunately a lot of those videos were not stating goals. And so I think that's a big
Some of them had music therapists that didn't even say they were music therapists. Yeah. Like they actually were board certified music therapists, but they didn't say like, I'm a music therapist. They're like, we're doing this. And I'm like, well, you kind of missed like an important part there. So
yeah. So interesting. There's a lot of music therapy podcasts out there now. And a couple of years ago, we all got together. There's, I mean, I'm going to throw out the number 20. There's probably more.
Oh, really?
Yes. So if you want to be on more podcasts.
Yeah. I've actually heard of this one before though. One of my interns listens to you.
But we a lot of us got together a couple of years ago and we talked about what is our responsibility as a media outlet, both within the profession. And there are tons of non-music therapists who reach out to me and say like, I found your show, and then want to talk to me and ask me other questions. So we talked about like, what is our responsibility? What do we need to be doing? What do we need to be aware of? Podcasting is kind of a growing media outlet that, there's not like the music therapy handbook doesn't tell you what you should and shouldn't do as a media outlet, right? And social media, it has the word media in it, right? So that's something too as a profession that is important for us to be talking about, is like, what are the implications? What are our responsibilities? What are the standards? Like you said, mentioning who we are, what we do, why we do it. Yeah, all really important stuff to be aware of, that unless it comes, in my experience, it's not a problem until it's a problem. And then we're
Yeah,
backpedaling,
that was
backpedaling,
that
backpedaling.
was another like big issue. And like when we were kind of looking into doing or like submitting our application for this presentation, you know, I work for a big corporation. Erica works for a private practice. So, you know, for our videos, we were trying to showcase something, and I had actually filmed at my work for something else. Like it was all like approved, but it was like for something else within the company. So like I emailed like the person who's in charge of our social media, and like she didn't even know how to answer the question that I was asking. Like it had to go all the way to the top of like the head of compliance, because it was in one of those like very gray areas. And you know, and every company's social media policy is different. It's different private practice versus corporation versus you work for one facility versus you work for yourself, right? So yeah, it's very important to know all of those, and it's always better to ask. You know, I always say like, oh, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. No, not with social media. You always ask for permission. Always ask for permission. So when I reached out, they're like, you didn't already do anything, right? And I was like, no, I'm asking permission because I know this is in a gray area. So just um having music therapists just be cognizant of like really paying attention, because you're right, there is nothing in the handbook about it. And even if you look on AMTA's like standards, there is nothing really saying like you can do this with social media, but you can't do this, but you can do this, because every company's policy is different.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll probably see that change, you know, when Facebook and MySpace and the internet were new, it was like, don't put your face on the internet. And now, well, now it's the norm. So I think that's part of it too, is people feel like it's so normal. They don't know that they should be asking the questions until it's a problem, like I said.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's amazing that you guys are putting out these resources, and I think more people should do it because it is a very accessible and impactful outlet to use, but also think of the implications. Totally. Yeah. This podcast is sponsored by the Music Therapy Podcast Collective, also known as MTPC, where you can find a variety of CMTE opportunities in the form of pod courses. All of MTPC's pod courses are built on a listen, learn, apply model, where you start by listening to some assigned podcast episodes, then move into learning with the assistance of a workbook filled with resources for you to start your self-study towards whatever topics are most interesting, inspiring, and applicable to your practice. And then we finish with the apply section, which includes an office hour and a worksheet to determine how you are going to apply your learning to your personal life or professional practice. You can find all the Music Therapy Chronicles pod courses on our website, musictherapychronicles.com, and you can find the entire catalog of pod courses at MTPC's website, mtpodcastcollective.com. Make sure you also get on the MTPC newsletter for 10% off your first pod course purchase. And don't forget that our best-selling pod course, Personal Development is Professional Development, is on sale now through June 21st. Are you ready for the rapid fire?
Yeah.
All right.
So are we both answering?
If you'd like, yeah, I'd love to hear both your answers.
Okay.
The questions are short, but your answers don't have to be.
Okay.
The first one is coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I don't really drink either, but I would say tea.
All right. Early bird or night owl?
I'm conflicted. It's both. I'm a both person. That sounds chaotic.
Never sleep.
That sounds chaotic. I generally, because of my job, I wake up in the morning, but I would prefer to be a night owl.
Something you'd tell your younger self.
Oh, that went like 0 to 100 very quickly. Oh man. I feel like there's
I'm gonna be motivational here.
Okay, go ahead. You motivate.
Just no matter how many times you fail, just keep going and don't.
Mine will just be to stick to your path no matter what it is.
Yeah, I like this. Your music therapy elevator speech.
Which one? I talked about
I know, right?
5.
I know you did. So the reason I ask this question is because everyone's take on it is different, and I like to hear the different takes. I think it's really informative for people. So
has a really good one, and I pretty much use her, so I'll let her go on this one.
Which one? The patient one?
I feel like you should do the clinician one. I feel like you should just do both because I like the.
Okay, well, I tell patients, so it's really specific to where I work, right? Because I work in that inpatient setting. That's the place I educate the most. So if I'm seeing a patient for the first time, I let them know. I say, hey, your OT, your team recommended you to music therapy because you're working on speech and language. And when we use music, we can actually engage more of our muscles there. And I make it very specific to what we're working on. I'll say, oh, we're trying to make your voice louder, make your voice stronger. And in singing, we use many more muscles than when we're speaking. So we're going to ask you to sing, but I don't care what you sound like. And, I won't judge you if you don't judge me. I make it kind of a mix of rapport building as well as informational at the same time.
yeah.
And then if I'm talking to a clinician, I just tell them like, hey, here at the hospital, we do neurologic music therapy and we have 3 domains. So if it's a physical therapist, I'll be like, oh, like, we work on walking, we work on motor coordination, we work on balance, dynamic and static balance. And I just quickly list all of the things that pertain to what they are, PT, OT, or ST. And I say, if you're standing with a patient, we can get them to hit a drum and get them outside of their base of support and help them balance that way. So I just kind of flip it and put it into their terms. And usually once I do that and I throw out those terms like base of support, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, like let's do that. And they're totally game to do it. So
I love though when you use this is like something that I stole from you, is like with a physical therapist, they use a weight to facilitate a movement, and for music therapists, we use an instrument to facilitate a movement. And so I put it in that term, and people are like, "Oh, I get it."
Yeah, I do that a lot. I will say like if that's mostly about my family member one. So right, so when I'm talking to a family member, I will go, yeah, exactly what she said. Like if a physical therapist asks you to pick up a weight to move your arm, up and down 50 times, we may give you an instrument and have you hit a drum to the beat of your favorite song 50 times, and that 50 times goes much faster.
That's the one I mainly use.
Yeah,
I think it's like very short and sweet, and at least for
and concrete. It's very concrete.
Yeah, people know like, oh, lifting a weight.
Yeah, people understand that.
Yeah, I like that you gave the different examples for different audiences, we'll say. Yeah.
They all need it. They all need to be different.
What is your favorite self-care practice?
I'm not on. You can go.
I feel like now AJ got me into this. Reading is my new self-care practice. Self-care.
Specifically, romance, contemporary romance.
Yes.
Do you want to share a book? Like
right now I'm reading the book Shipped, and I go to AJ's library of books.
I do. I have an entire bookcase.
And I check out AJ's books.
You're right. Date.
She's like, I need a new book from the library. And I was like, you know where it is.
So I get really excited. She usually reads the book first, and she's like, oh, you're going to really like this one. Okay.
That's awesome. Personalized book recommendations. Love that.
Yeah, I do give you personalized. I feel like my self-care, I'm a very social person, and especially like with the pandemic, like, I know a lot of the social butterflies out there, especially my fellow Geminis, shout out. We really struggled because we didn't have as much human contact as we needed. So my self-care is just like going to see my friends. I have a lot of friends in different cities and parts of the country, and even cities over, like in Florida. So I feel like just hanging out with my friends and being able to go do something social, even if it's just like sitting on the beach, like that's pretty much my self-care.
Yeah. Something that's currently adding value to your life.
These are so deep.
I know.
I was ready to tell you like my favorite animal and why.
Tell me your favorite animal. That's fine.
What was the question? Adding value to my life.
Are we talking about like
all the things? I feel like our TikTok is like for sure adding value, right? Like we would come home from work after working 40 hours a week and just like veg out, do whatever, like live our own lives. And I feel like having the TikTok, like while we are making the TikToks, like we can't really do anything else, right? Like we're using Erica's phone for one thing, and like my phone is being recorded, and we have to like look things up. So I feel like even though it like looks like work, it is work, but
it's not fun.
But it's fun.
It brings us like why it gives me more realization as to why we got into the field, because we're doing it for other people, right? We're not just doing it for ourselves, but we're doing it for other people watching, and like to see how much it's grown, like
211.7 thousand
followers later. Like it's like wild to think about that, and it just makes us feel like we're making a difference for our field. And it's I think that definitely.
And it's fun, right? Like we started posting blooper videos because we kept getting the comments like, oh, you guys are so perfect, like it must be nice, like whatever. And like so we literally started posting bloopers. So if you do want to hop on TikTok and see me get hit in the face with a boom whacker.
There's always something that happens. It's never planned, like us hitting each other in the face with like a cup, or AJ getting hit in the face with a boom whacker.
That's always classic.
They're like a cat coming in when they're not supposed to. So it's always really funny. People tripping and falling. It happens because it's the end of the night. We're tired. We're just like, our brains are kind of half functioning sometimes, and like sometimes we'll like make a video and then we'll figure out how to like word it later. Like sometimes there's like trends where you have to like write text, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna do that right now. We're just gonna actually film the video.
Totally. All right, your favorite intervention or song to use in this session? I know that's super loaded because you work with so many different types of people.
I actually do have a favorite. I do, right off the top of my head. So like I said, I work with people with aphasia, and if you don't know what it is, it's a language disorder that's caused by a stroke, a brain injury, or sometimes dementia as well. And it's when you can't, you either can't express what you want to say, or you're having trouble comprehending what you want to say. And this intervention actually targets both. So I call it music Pictionary. And if anybody if any music therapist is wanting a copy, they can email our email and I will send it out to them, because it's actually a compilation of like my interns put it together, I put it together, my coworker put it together. I'm pretty sure I've asked Erica for ideas, but you take 2 photos, so they're not clip art, they're actually real, because in aphasia, they are able to process real photos better than like cartoon photos. So the photos combined create the name of a song. Ooh. And so they have to look at the picture.
Like Jailhouse Rock, you take a picture of like
a jail, a picture of a house, and then a picture of a rock.
Yeah.
And so they have to like put it together. So it actually forces them to initiate speech, because not only do they have to name the objects, they actually have to put them together. So that is my favorite. And I use it with dementia. I use it with some of my older kiddos. They like to do it. I've used it with aphasia. I've used it with Parkinson's. I've used it I've used that intervention so many times. Like, and it's also helped me build my repertoire too, because I'm like, oh, this would be such a good one. I'm like, oh man, like I actually have to learn the song if I want to put it in the big packet. So that's my favorite intervention.
It's actually really funny. I used to not use songwriting a lot. Then when I got into the hematology and oncology unit, I basically do it all the time. So I think songwriting is my favorite thing to do.
Really?
Yeah, because it's amazing to hear what like patients come up with. And
Yeah.
like I work with one sickle cell patient, and we started talking about like their disease and just how they cope with it throughout like everything. And so that's really awesome. And then just hearing their thought process on just life in general is just really
Yeah, she's always coming up to me and she's like, listen to this line, like, look what my patient made up. And it's like, she does.
oh my gosh, we did this together and it's so good. And they come up with these, like I help facilitate the melodies and whatnot, but like they come up with all of the lyrics and I just kind of help them make it better. But it's always just really exciting to see how like they get really excited about it and whatnot. I think
Yeah.
She
does.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right. The last question is, where can the listeners find you and connect with you?
I would just say through, through our
Instagram.
Yeah, through our Instagram. So they're all the same handle. It's at theonewith.music.therapy. It's the same on Instagram. It's our Gmail, and it's also our TikTok. It's kind of hard to message on TikTok if they get weird about it. So yeah, you can message us on Instagram or send us an email. I would say that's probably the quickest way to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Cool. I will have all of the stuff linked so people can get it super easily.
Cool.
And I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And also thank you for taking the time to come on the show and share your thoughts. And I hope that your presentation gets approved, but even,
us too.
But like, this is a conversation that needs to happen. So hopefully people are ready for it now.
That's what people
instead
were
of
saying.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you got a lot out of it and perhaps are either feeling inspired to start or revamp your own social media presence, or maybe utilize it in a different way, kind of with a twist, and keep in mind the implications of such a media outlet and it being a source for advocacy as well as information about our field and within our field. I think that a lot of people get a lot of their information from social media, whether that just be like current events or whether that be tools and tricks or just general learning about new things. And it's awesome to have so many social media outlets and be able to benefit from everything that people are able to put out there. But it's also important to be able to look at things with a critical eye, just like we would with a research article or, anything else that comes before us, not taking it at face value if we have not taken the time to educate ourselves, if that makes sense. And also making sure that we are taking the time to put out content with a critical lens as well. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Find AJ and Erica online at The One with Music Therapy with the dots, and also find Music Therapy Chronicles because, like I said, I try to be present on there. It fluctuates, but I'm doing my best, everybody. That being said, I hope you have a wonderful week. Don't forget to check out our pod course, which is on sale through June 21st, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation and got a lot out of it. If you're looking for more Music Therapy Chronicles, you can check out our website, musictherapychronicles.com, for more episodes, blog posts, social media links, contact information, our self-care community, and our CMTE opportunities in the form of pod courses. Hop on our monthly newsletter if you haven't already, and follow us on social media for just staying up to date on what's going on behind the scenes. We are Music Therapy Chronicles on all of the platforms. Please take a moment to leave us a rating and review. They really help the podcast be more visible so more people like you who are looking for this type of content can find it. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to this week's episode, and I'll see you in the next one.